All right, everyone. This is a brief video lecture about basically about wordiness, being concise, being to the point, about word economy is what we're going to call it. So, in general, something that students often do, and the reason why it's problematic is students often try to over-explain things or to repeat themselves, and generally, there isn't actually a lot of research out there about this, but from what I can tell, generally, I think that this is because you don't think you are expressing yourself clearly or as well as you are, or getting to the point the way you want to. So I often see that students add, these qualifying phrases like, you know, research shows blah blah blah. At least it seems to me, or something like that. Or, you kind of state the same thing for a couple sentences, or you've been just conditioned to add these extra words. So I want you to know that you are communicating more clearly than you think you are. So what we need to do is you need to start reading your writing aloud and cutting everything unnecessary, absolutely everything. And the way to do this is, cutting. I have a couple of examples here, but basically, like, I was running. This is passive voice. Was is a connecting verb. It's a to be verb. It links the noun I with the verb running. This just needs to be I ran. Or I started to cry. Saying that you started, proceeded, decided to, generally speaking, that most times doesn't matter. Just get to the point, all right? And then I had come up with an idea. We call this past perfect tense. So you use the word had, like I had done this, or I had thought this. That had, this is past perfect tense. And what this does is it signals to the reader that what you're about to say happened earlier in narrative time. And for sometimes with context, that's important. But in most cases, it's unnecessary. So I came up with an idea. She could be seen standing next to a tree. She stood next to a tree. That is active and passive voice. I saw snow starting to fall. This is what we call an existence or sensory verb. It's not important that you saw it. It's important that snow started to fall. I don't need to know that you saw a bird flying past the window. If you've already established the point of view, then we know. Sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. My mother just tried to FaceTime me at the worst possible moment, clearly. So basically what we're getting at in general is that you want to cut everything that is unnecessary, all right? The ultimate goal of this class is to say as much as you can in as few words as possible. That's really the complicated part of this, of the complicated part of writing. Anyone can bullshit, 5 pages of saying nothing. What's harder is to say a lot in 5 pages, okay? So we're working towards cutting everything unnecessary, working towards developing depth and exploration and, just further profound thoughts, all right? Something else I want to mention here, and this is kind of just an aside thing, is that I want you to start thinking about the word that, all right? I want you to look at it in your writing, because in 99% of the cases, that word that is unnecessary. It's a pronoun, but we often use it as almost a filler word. It's basically the same as saying when you speak. So look at a sentence, look for the words like was, had, that, could be to be. We're going to get into this more when we talk about active and passive voice, but you can cut a lot of that and not change the meaning at all. And if you have a sentence and you try to cut the word that and it doesn't make sense without it, it's passive. That is indicative of passive voice. Okay? Hold on. Okay. So, generally speaking, replace weak phrases or words with more powerful and specific words. Don't say, she walked slowly. There's a word that means that. Don't state the obvious. I often see, and I'm guilty of this in my own writing, but I will write things, or I'll see students write things that are like, I blinked my eyes. What else do you blink? So look for things that state the obvious. You need to start interrogating every word of a sentence. You need to focus your thoughts on a sentence by sentence level and looking for, just this sentence. What am I trying to say? Am I saying it? Can anything be cut? Does anything need expanded upon? Combining sentences that naturally flow together, that will eliminate wordiness and repetitions. You don't want to be repetitive in your writing because repetitive word choice stands out to the reader. It distracts the reader. Cut the obvious. Cut unnecessary determiners and modifiers. Really, this is about writing something like, let me think of an example. Today, I went to the park and it was busy today. Something like that, where you kind of repeat yourself, but not necessarily. You can really focus yourself on being to the point. Cut repetitions, change passive voice to active voice. We're going to talk about this next class. But then also, there's this phrase in writing called kill your darlings. And what that means, and this is really sort of, once you get through all of this basic stuff, this is something that's hard to do. So this is about, you may write something or have this really great point or this really great argument, but it might not be necessary to the piece, even though, you might think it's, wow, like, this is really good shit. I should keep this in. But if it doesn't, serve your thesis, your theme, your purpose, it has to go. You have to cut it. So we're really working towards cutting all the bullshit and then strengthening and deepening what we're really trying to say. And lastly, remember the style guide I gave you on the first day of class. We're going to talk about this more next class, but we need to start using this. We need to start using it as a checklist of everything that we need to take care of. We may actually do this on the next class, going through and sort of having you individually highlight or mark what you need to focus on. This is a tool that can be really helpful. Okay? And that's it for this one.